Most people think loneliness announces itself. It doesn't. It arrives quietly, not with dramatic endings or painful betrayals, but through hundreds of tiny moments that seem harmless while they're happening. You tell yourself you'll reply tomorrow. You skip one invitation because you're tired. You stop explaining how you really feel because "I'm fine" is faster. Then one day you unlock your phone, scroll through hundreds of contacts, and realize there isn't a single person you genuinely want to call. That realization feels personal. You assume something must be wrong with you. Maybe you're too awkward, too quiet, too difficult. Society has plenty of labels ready: loner, cold, antisocial. But psychology tells a very different story. For many adults, the absence of close friendships isn't a personality trait. It's the final result of countless adaptations that once helped them survive emotionally. What looks like isolation today may have started years earlier as protection. That's why understanding these patterns matters. Not because every lonely person shares the same story, but because these signs often appear together, creating a life that slowly becomes smaller without anyone noticing. The first sign is surprisingly invisible. You rarely make the first move. Not because you don't care about people. You simply hesitate. You wait. You tell yourself you'll text after work, after the weekend, after you're in a better mood. Eventually, the moment disappears. From the outside, it looks like indifference. Inside, it feels completely different. Every unanswered message from the past quietly trained your brain to associate reaching out with uncertainty. The nervous system remembers emotional risk far longer than the conscious mind remembers the event itself. Without realizing it, you begin waiting for proof that you're wanted before allowing yourself to connect. The problem is that friendships don't survive on silent expectations. They survive on repeated moments of initiative. When both people start waiting, the relationship slowly disappears without either person intending it. The second sign feels comfortable. Maybe too comfortable. You genuinely enjoy being alone. A quiet apartment doesn't feel depressing, it feels peaceful. Entire weekends pass without meaningful conversation, and nothing seems missing. Many people mistake this for emotional strength. Sometimes it is. Healthy solitude restores energy. It creates space to think, reflect, and recover. But unhealthy isolation feels almost identical from the inside. That's what makes it dangerous. One nourishes you. The other slowly convinces you that needing people is unnecessary. Eventually, your world becomes easier to control because fewer people can disappoint you. Unfortunately, fewer people can truly know you either. The third sign is more subtle. You've stopped expecting much from anyone. Birthdays come and go, messages become shorter, plans disappear. Instead of feeling hurt, you tell yourself you've become realistic. You expect less, so you're disappointed less. At first, this sounds emotionally mature, but lowering expectations can quietly become emotional surrender. Long-term psychological research repeatedly points toward the same conclusion. The quality of close relationships predicts well-being more consistently than status, income, or achievement. That doesn't mean everyone needs dozens of friends. It means humans are designed to experience genuine emotional safety with at least a few people. When expectations disappear completely, opportunities for closeness disappear with them. You stop giving others the chance to show up, and eventually, they stop trying. The fourth sign is easy to miss. You've become very good at being around people without letting anyone get close. You join conversations, you smile, you ask polite questions. From the outside, everything looks normal, but almost nothing personal ever leaves your mouth. Real friendship doesn't grow through perfect conversations. It grows through small moments of vulnerability. A worry, a disappointment, an honest opinion. When every interaction stays emotionally safe, people enjoy your company, but they never truly know you. Over time, you begin confusing emotional distance with emotional stability. They're not the same thing. Staying guarded protects you from rejection. It also protects you from intimacy. The fifth sign is uncomfortable to admit. Isolation slowly changes your personality. Not dramatically, quietly. Without close relationships acting as mirrors, your habits become harder to notice. You become a little less patient, a little more skeptical. A little quicker to assume people won't understand anyway. Nobody points it out because nobody knows you well enough anymore. Psychology shows that humans regulate each other emotionally. Healthy relationships don't just provide company. They soften rigid thinking. They challenge our blind spots. They remind us that our private reality isn't always the complete picture. Without that feedback, certainty slowly replaces curiosity, and certainty rarely creates connection. The sixth sign appears in everyday moments. You stop responding to the people who still care. A message sits unread. A missed call becomes tomorrow's problem. Someone checks in and you promise yourself you'll answer later. Sometimes you do. Often you don't. Months pass this way. Eventually the invitations become less frequent. Not because people stopped caring, because they assumed you preferred being left alone. That's the painful misunderstanding. Your silence was self-protection. They interpreted it as rejection. Every unanswered message feels insignificant by itself. Together, they slowly reshape your entire social life. One day, something difficult happens. Your first instinct is to reach for your phone. Then you stop. Who would actually understand without needing the whole story? That realization isn't loud. It's painfully quiet. The final sign is the hardest to recognize. You've started building an identity around being alone. You tell yourself you simply don't need close friendships. You admire quotes about independence. You convince yourself peace is always better than people. Sometimes that's true, but sometimes those beliefs become emotional armor. They protect you from asking a much harder question. Am I choosing solitude? Or have I simply become afraid of connection? Those are completely different things. Here's what psychology reminds us. Very few people decide to become isolated overnight. Most drift there through hundreds of reasonable decisions. One postponed reply, one canceled plan, one friendship that slowly faded because neither person reached out. Years later, those small choices become the structure of an entire life. The goal isn't to suddenly become outgoing. It's not to collect dozens of friends. It's simply to stop believing that your past has permanently decided your future. Because loneliness isn't always an identity. Sometimes it's just an old survival strategy that stayed long after the danger disappeared. And survival strategies can change. The smallest step may be enough. One honest conversation, one message you've been delaying, one invitation you finally accept. Real connection rarely returns all at once. It usually begins with one quiet decision to become visible again. If today's video helped you see yourself differently, don't let recognition be the finish line. Let it become the beginning. Because somewhere beneath the habits, the distance, and the silence, there may still be a part of you that wants to be known. And that part has never truly disappeared.